I'm Dee.
I'm Jose.
And we're your token theater friends, people who love theater so much that on one day we'll travel from New Jersey to the Hudson Valley for shows because we love theater and we love the trains.
We don't love the trains, but something we do love is Judy Garland. And today our guest is Ruby Rakos, who is giving an incredible performance as Judy in Chasing Rainbows, a musical that uses her catalog to tell the story of her life before she became Judy Garland, so like up to when she was cast as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And if you know me and if you've seen my tattoo, you know I love Judy. So I love doing this interview, and let's go check it out.
Dear, when you smiled at me, I heard a melody. It haunted me from the start. Something inside of me started a symphony. Zing went the strings of my heart.
Hey everyone, we are here today with Ruby Rakos, who plays Judy Garland in Chasing Rainbows, and I'm just thinking about, I saw you on the weekend, I just want to cry, just like having you here right now. So you've been doing this musical for quite some time now.
Yeah, I've been working on the show for 6 years. Yeah.
What's like the most recent thing about Judy that you've learned? Because I'm sure you learn something about her every day, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably something Lorna Luft told me when she came to see the show on opening. I had run into her in the stairwell in my robe and my wig cap and like no makeup from like the eyes up. And we just ran into each other in the stairwell. But you know, something I always say is that, you know, because people always ask like, what's it like to play an icon like Judy? Like, is, you know, does that put you under a lot of pressure? And my answer is no, because the show is about Frances Gumm, the girl who became Judy Garland, and we don't really know who Frances Gumm is. So, you know, she's a different person from Judy, so that sort of takes the pressure off. And I had said that to Lorna, and she kind of laughed and said, I don't think my mother knew who Frances Gumm was. And I thought that was really interesting.
And Liza Minnelli's seen it? She
No.
approves of it?
Yeah, she approves of it. She's not seen it. She has given her blessing.
You were in Billy Elliot when you were 12, and so, you know, like Judy Garland, you've been working for a very long time at a very young age, and so did that help you get into, like, the mental state of someone who wants to be a performer early on?
Yeah, I think, you know, because Frances thought that this would fix everything, and there's something about, like, being young, and already sort of like achieving a life goal essentially, and like, you know, thinking it'll fix everything, and it's like, well, now I'll be happy and now like everything will change, and then you sort of come to the realization that no, of course not. Like, you know, the job isn't gonna bring you joy, it's not gonna like fulfill you, at least not for very long. So I think, you know, sort of the disillusionment with the dream was easy to connect with, and also just the experience of being too young to be Shirley Temple, or too young to be in like Matilda or Annie, because when I left Billy Elliot, that's what was happening, and I was too old at the time, but then being too young to be, you know, as in the show, like Lana Turner, or too young to play someone my own age. So I spent the years between Billy Elliot and when I started working on Chasing Rainbows, not doing anything, because there's nothing out there.
Oh my God.
So I was in it's similar boat, except my, you know, livelihood didn't depend. It wasn't the stakes weren't as high.
Yeah, and you weren't supporting your family.
Exactly. He was just in high school.
I read that Liza approved of the show because she says that her mom's biographies and her songs.
Yeah, and that's sort of, you know, the idea behind the show. You know, why why use original music when, you know, the songs she sang are such a big part of who she is, and tell so much of the story. And I think it brings sort of a special insight that I think original music wouldn't quite be able to grasp.
Right, but I wonder for you, Ruby, like so far in your life, which songs would make up your biography?
Oh, wow. What songs would make up my biography? Probably, God, I'm always chasing rainbows.
When you're young and you're 12 years old making your Broadway debut, the thing that most people work their entire lives to do, and then you get very early, like what does that do to you mentally in terms of like what happens next? Like how did you figure out like what was going to be next for you?
Well, I didn't figure out what was next for me. I sort of, you know, I left this show and just sort of treaded water for several years until I, you know, found this show. And then like that was the new thing to like hold on to, being like, this will make me happy. You know, just sort of like, just like, great. This is like, because, you know, normal life, my real life just felt like is so, it feels so like plain compared to like working on a show is like, feels like the real, like where I feel like the most like myself, and like you get, and it's the most like life. It's like you have the highs and the lows and it feels like you're really living. And so then when like, you know, going back to high school and then being like, oh, is this it? Like, is this what life is?
And so like, what do you want to do after this?
Oh, I'd like to
do rainbows that you're still chasing?
God, I mean, I'd like to do anything, but I'd love, like, I did my first play last summer, because I'd only ever done musicals, and that was such a new and interesting challenge, and it was so different from anything I'd done before. So I'd love to do more straight plays. I'd love to do TV and film because I haven't done that ever. But yeah, just anything else, honestly. Anything new.
I was gonna be selfish and ask you to never stop playing Judy, because I wonder if you think of yourself like, you know, like decades in the future, going back to like the Star is Born era and all of that, where her life got really dark.
I would. She's just such an interesting person to play and to sort of like figure out, because, you know, you never stop discovering things about her.
They just seem to be in perfect harmony, zingo the strings of my heart.
How did you get your voice to sound like that?
I think I mean, I already naturally had a sort of like jazz and swing voice because that's what I've always done. But then I just for like 3 straight weeks before my first audition for the show, I listened to her recordings of the songs I needed to prepare, and I just would sing along with it, and like while waiting for the bus in the morning, and like while like sitting in the cafeteria waiting for my friends to come down for lunch, I would just like sit there and I'd listen to it and I'd sing along, and I'd sort of like copy her cascades and her you know, her diction and her phrasing, to the point where now I don't go back to her recordings. It's just sort of, you know, I can put it in there without now copying her. It's just, I sort of get the like essence of it.
That's so cool.
It's like she's in you now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, no, she's definitely in there, and will probably never leave.
I wanted to ask you about that because, I mean, I'm obviously a huge Judy fan, and to be honest, like, I'm a little bit nervous because this is the closest that I'll ever be to Judy, kind of. And, you know, for me, she's almost like a spiritual figure. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you have any sort of like ritual or like a prayer or anything that you say to her before you play her.
Oh, I don't. You know, I I guess, at the top of the show, I walk on stage in the dark and, just sort of just take a deep breath and the lights come up and like, it's like I'm in a different world. And it's like, sometimes it feels like someone else has sort of taken over.
I think one of the most beautiful things is that in many ways Over the Rainbow has become kind of like a national anthem, like kind of a world anthem. And I wonder, you get to sing that song every night with all the audience. And I wonder what that is like.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song, and before working on the show I never heard how sad it is. Yeah. Because it's so hopeful, but like it's especially when you take into account, especially in the context of the show, is the loss of her father, and how sort of over the rainbow signifies heaven and like where her father is. Yeah, and in the arrangement of the song in the show, after There's a Land That I Heard of Once in a Lullaby, in the orchestration it plays Always and Always, which is the lullaby that Frank Gum sings to Baby Gum when she was little, and I didn't notice it in the orchestration until halfway through our run when we were in Flat Rock, North Carolina, our first production. Like halfway through the run, one day during the show I was like, is that Always and Always and Always? And I just like lost it, because it's like sort of like the presence of her father.
Jose and I just also saw Judy the Movie with Renee Zellweger, and what do you think the fascination we all have as a culture with this person who got the dream but also had a really tragic life?
Yeah, I think I've noticed it. It's not just with Judy; it's with all celebrities. We love to fetishize the downward spiral. Like I noticed it like watching like a Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Oh geez, yeah.
And just like our obsession with people crashing and burning. I guess it's just I can't quite figure out why we like to watch it so much, but it's you see the person get what everyone else wants, and then you sort of want you kind of are happy that they're not as happy as as you think they should be.
I wonder if for you, after the last scene, when her entire life is ahead of her, and you play her before she was Judy, like you said, I wonder if there's a moment right after the show when you go, oh, and you know everything that happens to her, you go like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that happens in Chasing Rainbows sort of lays the groundwork for everything that happened in the rest of her life. And you sort of see that like she was never gonna win. Like it was never gonna happen. Like it's there's like no other way for it to go. It's like maybe if she wasn't this big star, and she could have had a normal life, maybe she would have been okay, but like would she have ever been happy? Like it's because she needed that approval and love from the audience that she didn't get at home. And then once her father died, she didn't have it at all. As I say in the show, and as she has said, now no one is on my side after Frank dies, because he was the only person who saw her for like who she was and like accepted her, and who wasn't constantly trying to change her. And so without that, it's kind of like she lets everyone pull her in all these different directions. Because they'll give her they'll give her love, and that's all she wants. And so if I'll be whatever you want as long as you love me.
Right. So I feel like we've been asking you a lot of questions about Judy Garland, but not enough questions about Ruby. So, but why did you want to be an actor? Like, what was the drive? What's the driving force for you?
I don't know. I mean, when I was 2 years old, I told my parents that I wanted to go to Barbie dance school and wear a tutu. No. No. I wanted to go to Barbie dance school, and I wanted to wear a tutu and dance on a stage, and everyone would clap. And when your 2-year-old says something like, I guess we should put her in dance class. And so then I'd been dancing since I was 2, and then when I was 8, I went to a musical theater summer camp and started singing, and that's when I was like, oh, this is what I like. This is what I really like. And so, and then I couldn't wait until I was in middle school so I could be in the school musical. And then when I was in 8th grade, I ended up in Billy Elliot and actually got to do it. But that's when I saw all these adults who, like, this is what they do. This is, like, what they do for a living. Before that, I didn't know that was something you could do with your life. I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a dance teacher, or maybe I'll be a nurse. And so once I saw all these people making a living doing this, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Because I like being other people. I like being other people. It's easier to be other people than it is to be yourself sometimes.
I don't know how you guys do it. I'm always impressed. Yeah, because I always want to ask you, for instance, like, how do you know when the character stops and you go back to being you?
Or be comfortable with you?
That's hard, especially in this show, and especially, like, I've sort of figuring out how to be an actor during the show, because before doing the show, I'd never been in a show where I had to actually be a character. Billy Elliot, I was in the ensemble, I was one of the kids, and as long as I did the choreography correctly, like, it didn't matter. There wasn't much character development. So then this is the first role where I had to, like, actually, like, really focus and, like, be someone else. And sometimes it's just like I'm not even quite sure what I do, but I guess I take a step too far, and it's like I get off stage and it's like I can't stop crying, because it's like I crossed whatever line that is. It doesn't really happen anymore, but it used to happen a lot, especially like when I first started.
I wonder if it was, like, drastic at all, like if you had different actors play Frank, and I wonder if saying goodbye to the first actor, for instance, was kind of like saying goodbye to Frank.
I don't think so. I think it's probably my connection with my own father that does it. Yeah.
In the musical, a lot of people criticize Judy Garland's body and her talent and her as a person, and I wonder, like, sometimes you're the actor who's playing her, and people are telling you that you're fat, or you and like most of the time, like, trying to like ignore that in real life is hard, but trying to do that every night in a show, like, how do you prevent that from, like, influencing, like, how you feel about yourself?
It's never bothered me. Then there's actually a line that was cut, but it was my favorite. It was like, she's wholesome, fat, all-American, fatty fat, and it would make me laugh every night. So people say all these, like, horrible things to me on stage, and, like, in rehearsals, I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine, because thankfully I'm pretty comfortable with the way I look, and I don't have too many body hang-ups, so it doesn't really rub me the wrong way. And then just here, and because the whole point is that none of it was true. It's like she wasn't fat, she wasn't ugly. She was just something that they had never seen before and they didn't know what to do with.
But isn't that part of being an actor, like you're constantly being judged on your appearance and how it's right for a role, and so like, is it easier for you these days to kind of not take it all personally?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are so many different reasons that you don't get things, you know, that, you know, I mean, it's obviously it's easy to take it personally, but it could be anything. It could be anything. And it's 97% of the time, it's something that's completely out of your control. Like, oh, you were too short. I was like, okay, well, can't change that. You know, well, you have straight hair. I'm like, it's called a wig, but fine. But like, you know, it's just like these small things that it's like, you know, everyone has this like specific thing of like in their mind of what they want, and all you can do is just, you know, do it your way, and maybe they'll like it.
Yeah, I'm also fascinated by all my actor friends who are like, oh, I can't change my hair. And I'm thinking, isn't that what wigs and extensions are for? Like, what is the problem?
Yeah, I was like, can't be Judy Garland. She's blonde and has straight hair. I was like, I'm wearing a wig. we did a staged reading back in January, and afterward, I wore a wig for the staged reading, which was strange, but like, you know, it does make me look more like her. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, someone had said, wow, she was even better than the girl who played her at Goodspeed. Same person. It was still me. I'm just still wearing a wig too. I was like, she was even better. I don't know how that happened. I was like, it's the same person.
It's like Clark Kent's glasses. You know, you take it off, you don't even know it's the same person.
They come out of the stage door and people don't know who I am. I'm like, is that... She's wearing glasses. It can't be her.
That's so funny. And the last thing that I wanted to ask you precisely about the stage door is, I'm sure you get like hundreds probably of crazy Judy fans like me who show up and they're like, oh my God, I love you. And like they tell you personal stories about them, you know, and Judy. And I wonder, does that ever like get easy to deal with, or is it just like, oh my God, not too much?
It's so fascinating because Judy was. I never had that connection with her, or really anyone. So it's always interesting to hear how someone can have that kind of impact on someone's life when, you know, you've never met. You've just, you know, it's just this like, especially with Judy, she's so specific in that, like, you know, she is one of those people and one of those stars that just, for some reason, speaks to so many people so personally, and I don't think we've really seen it since. So she's a very specific sort of icon for people.
You should have seen me on the train back from Melbourne. I was like listening to Carnegie Hall. It's like sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. So yeah. But you're wonderful, and thank you so much for doing this. Like, I'm so grateful and so happy. And would you like to invite our viewers and our listeners to see Chasing Rainbows?
Yeah, I'd love for everyone to come out to the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn, New Jersey, to see Chasing Rainbows, The Road to Oz. We're there for 2 more weeks, so come on out.
And the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
Hey, Jose.
Yes.
If you were a Judy Garland movie, which movie would you be? There's like a BuzzFeed quiz.
That's the worst thing you've ever asked me. Ever. I think it depends on the day.
Are you Dorothy?
I mean, almost every morning. Well, I would say, yeah. But I think it depends on the day.
Thank you all for watching, and if you want more Token Theater Friends, we have a podcast where this week it's all Halloween themed. We reviewed spooky shows because we got blindfolded this week and not in a sexual way. Which, yeah, okay. You can hear more about that on our podcast. And remember, theater's more fun when you take a friend.
And Judy.
And Judy. Bye. Friends of Judy.